G'day everyone, I'm Lachlan McRae and welcome back to the channel Ecology Insights. In this video I'm going to be discussing a bit about the theory and technical specifications that you should consider when purchasing a pair of binoculars. I will then recommend the best binocular models at different price points. Let's start by understanding what the two numbers mean on the back of a pair of binoculars. The first number represents the magnification amount, which is 8 times on these binoculars. The second number represents the objective lens diameter measured in millimeters, which is 42 on these binoculars. Magnification determines how zoomed in you are on an image. So a 10 times magnification will mean that everything is 10 times closer or larger. You might assume that a higher magnification is better, but that isn't necessarily the case. That's because to achieve a higher magnification comes with significant compromises, such as a narrower field of view, a less bright image, and more noticeable handshake when viewing down the binoculars. The field of view measures the horizontal distance you can see down the binoculars, and it is typically given in meters at 1,000 yards. A smaller field of view makes it more difficult to find and track objects such as birds. For most scenarios, the sweet spot lies between an 8 and 10 times magnification. A larger objective lens diameter allows more light to enter the binoculars, which gives you a brighter image with more detail and better color rendition, particularly in low light conditions such as dawn and dusk. However, all of that comes at the expense of size and weight. The most popular objective lens diameters for handheld binoculars are 32 and 42 millimeters, but I highly recommend going with the 42s. 32s can be a suitable choice if you prioritize size and weight, but I personally find that there is a noticeable drop in image quality in low light conditions, and I actually find the larger size of the 42s more comfortable to hold in my hands. Taking all of that into consideration, I highly recommend an 8x42 pair of binoculars for broad-ranging ecology surveys primarily conducted in Australian forests. You will sometimes find that you wish you had a little more magnification, such as 10 times or even 12 times, for long distance viewing, such as across a large wetland. However, I think the brighter image in low light conditions, being able to find and track birds more easily, and less noticeable handshake of an 8 times compared to 10 or 12 times is worth the reduction in magnification. If you watched the video up to this point, you should now know what magnification and objective lens diameter you need. Most binocular brands such as Nikon, Celestron, Vortex and Swarovski will offer different combinations of magnification and objective lens diameter in each of their binocular models. I'm going to point you in the right direction by recommending the best models that you should consider purchasing at different price points. If you're at least semi-serious about getting decent image quality that won't significantly compromise your field surveys, then you're going to need to spend at least $400 if you're buying brand new. The $400 to $550 price range is what I call the entry-level professional binoculars. My first recommendation is the Nikon Monarch M5 8x42 binoculars. These are probably the most popular binocular for under $600. Nikon previously sold their Monarch 5 model, but they have since updated it to the Monarch M5, so make sure you get that updated version if you can afford it. These here are the older Monarch 5s, and their main downfall, as well as the newer M5 model, is the narrow field of view. My second recommendation is the Celestron Trail Seeker ED 8x42 binoculars. Celestron previously sold the Celestron Trail Seeker model, but they have now subtly updated it to the Celestron Trail Seeker ED model. So make sure you get the updated ED model if you can afford it. These here are the older non-ED model, and my main negative I've found with them is that the build quality isn't great and the focus wheel is starting to become a bit loose and hard to turn. However, it took about 3 years for this to happen, and the new ED model has redesigned materials that are supposed to be more durable. The next step up is what I would call the mid-tier range, and these binoculars go for about 750 to 950 Australian dollars. In this price range, my first recommendation are the Nikon Monarch M7 8x42 binoculars. Nikon previously sold the Nikon Monarch 7 model, but they have now subtly updated it to the Nikon Monarch M7. So make sure you get the updated M7 model if you can afford it. I do not have anything majorly bad to say about these binoculars, and they are probably the best all-round option you can purchase at any price point. My second recommendation are the Vortex Viper HD 8x42 binoculars. Vortex slightly and subtly updated their Viper model in 2018, but did not change the name, so make sure you purchase the 2018 onwards version, which has an increased field of view if you choose to go with the Vipers.
The main negative of the Vipers is the stiff focus wheel, which requires more force to turn and has a narrower depth of field compared to the Monarch M7's near perfect focus wheel and larger depth of field.
Now, onto the premium Swarovski binoculars, which are the best that money can buy. I wouldn't actually recommend buying a more expensive pair of binoculars than either of these two here, unless you're willing to go all out and spend between $3,000 to $4,500. That may seem like a lot of money, and it definitely is, but it can be justified, I think, if it's what you do for a living. These binoculars are the best of the best, and they allow you to go with a high magnification while still having exceptional field of view and performance in low light conditions. In fact, a 10 times magnification in the Swarovski NL Pure line will have an approximately equivalent field of view and brightness when compared to an 8 times magnification in most sub $1,000 pair of binoculars. My first recommendation in this price range is the Swarovski EL 8.5x42 binoculars at $3,200. These are the entry-level Swarovski binoculars, and the Swarovski EL line has now been upgraded to the Swarovski NL Pure line. This leads on to my second recommendation in this price range, the Swarovski NL Pure 10x42 for $4,300. The NL Pures are simply the best binoculars in the world. They have improved upon the EL line by significantly increasing the field of view and the ergonomics of an already premium pair of binoculars. I don't have a pair of these with me today, but I have owned the smaller NL Pure 8x32s, and I can say they took my breath away every time I used them. However, I found that the 32mm objective lens was too small for my hands to hold comfortably, and I thought the field of view was wide enough that I could sacrifice some of it by going with the 10 times magnification instead. That's why I would recommend going with the 10 times 42 rather than the 8 times 42 in the premium NL Pure line. I personally think that the best all-round binoculars, when you take in consideration the price, are these here, the Nikon Monarch M7 8x42 binoculars. $700 might seem like a lot of money, and it is, but if you're serious about ecology and you want a pair that won't compromise your field surveys and will probably last you at least a decade, these will be well worth your money. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it helpful. And if you have any questions or suggestions for future content, please feel free to let me know down below in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.